All right, everybody, how's it going? This is Immigration Attorney Moumita. I'm coming to you live to talk to you about immigration, to see the questions that may have on your mind tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Moumita Rahman, and I'm an immigration attorney, and I have been practicing immigration law for the past 15 years, and it is my pleasure to do the work that I do. So thank you for joining me. And if you are following me for a long time, welcome to my channel. If you are a current client, thank you for being a client and for trusting us with your case. And of course, for your continued patience through everything. Hello, Farouk, Tony, how are you? Stray Girl, how are you? No, assalamu alaikum, hello. Nice to see everybody. Jeff Dollar, hello on YouTube. And for those of you joining me for the first time, I am live streaming on 4 different platforms. You'll see me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. So welcome. Let me know what immigration questions you have, because it is my desire to put you at peace about what's going on. I know that there's a lot of different questions, a lot of scary things happening in immigration, a lot of uncertainty. I want to tell you, first of all, about good news. Let's start off with some good news right now. We just got approved a green card for a client for whom we filed an I-751 application based upon divorce. I know I always talk about extreme cruelty and battery. So what happens if you have a 2-year green card and your marriage is not working out? What happens if you already got divorced? Well, if you already got divorced and you still have a 2-year green card, you may be eligible to file for a waiver of the joint filing requirement by asking for a waiver due to divorce because your marriage has been terminated or because you have suffered extreme cruelty or battery, meaning you've suffered abuse from your spouse. And this is available to both men and women. And we have gotten lots of these approved for both men and women. And this time we did end up filing a waiver based upon divorce. And a client had an interview and got approved, flying colors. And the key to winning these cases is to be prepared for your testimony. If you have an interview coming up for your I-751 interview, you are going to be asked what happened during the marriage. Why did you divorce? Why didn't it last long? And in my client's case, they got divorced very soon after he got the green card. However, he was prepared. Preparation is key for your immigration interview. I cannot underestimate or underemphasize how important preparation is. You have got to sound credible to the officer. Your answers have got to make sense. So if you have an immigration interview coming up, my number one piece of advice is to not go by yourself, because you never know what the officer is going to ask, what's going to come up. Even sometimes, we're seeing sometimes for our clients who go for citizenship interviews, sometimes questions can come up about how you got your green card. So you want to be prepared. And number 2, you want to be prepared and know what the sticky spots are in your case, which is exactly why working with an attorney is very, very important. Okay. So let's go ahead and see what questions are. 231 Forever Best. Can I file for a green card if my wife does not live with me, but we see each other every weekend after I finish school? From 231 Forever Best. Absolutely. Can you file for a green card for your spouse, even though you do not live together? And the answer is yes, because there is not actually a requirement that you live together with your spouse in order for you to do their green card application. However, if you are not living with your spouse, your case is going to have extra scrutiny. And you do, again, it comes down to how prepared are you? How prepared are you to credibly discuss why you and your wife or your husband don't live together? Because that's like a natural question, right? They're going to be suspicious. They're going to be so suspicious about why you're not living underneath the same roof. So you better be prepared with a good answer and a plausible explanation, because a lot of times people don't live together for a variety of reasons: school, jobs, military, or having to take care of a sick family member. But you've got to be able to explain it, okay? So 231 Forever Best, yes, you can. And we have represented people, lots of people who did not live together at the time of their green card interview. In fact, we just got a green card approved last week for a client who was not living with his spouse. And actually, he lives apart from his spouse because his spouse worked as a home health aide and lives with her charge. So still got approved, and we were able to properly explain it, okay? And if you want our help with your case, give us a call to 212-248-7907. Rosie Guzman, and hello, Harry. Jose, hello, how are you, Harry? Okay, Rosie's asking, I submitted my petition to remove conditions on my residence. It's been 1 year and 5 months, and it is still pending from Rosie. So Rosie, I'm sure that after having submitted your application for removal of conditions, you're probably wondering, why is it taking so long? And the truth is that when you file for your petition to remove conditions, your application is going to take a very, very long time, which is exactly why they give you an automatic 4-year extension when you file for your I-751 application. So a year and a half is actually pretty normal. I feel like most of our clients wait about 2 years. And after at the 2-year mark is usually when you get an RFE or you get a request for an interview. Okay. I hope that helps. Sekou, hello. Nice to see you, my friend. You have a prominent lawyer, KK. You heard a prominent lawyer say that she files T visas for those in removal proceedings. Is there a strategy behind that? Yes, there is. The strategy behind it is that if you are in removal proceedings and you have a T visa filed or some other application filed that the judge cannot decide, the strategy is that if that case, your removal case can take anywhere from 3 to 5 years to complete in court because of the huge backlog that the judges have in hearing cases. And a T visa case, for example, might take 2 years to process. So the strategy would be, I'm presuming for this lawyer, the strategy would be that by the time you get your T visa approved, you're still in court, and then you can move the judge to ask them to terminate the case because you already have a relief that's available outside. Okay, so that would be the strategy behind filing a T visa if you are in removal proceedings. But of course, you should always be ready to file applications in court because the judge cannot decide the T visa, and the judge is going to want to ask you, what are you going to seek in front of me in court? So you better be ready for that. Okay. All right. Ashmal Lubana. It's been 2 years since my I-360 is approved from guardianship. Can I apply for my green card now? Axmal. So for those of you who have filed an SAJS for underneath guardianship, the first step is to file your I-360. However, for you to file your I-485, you have to wait for your priority date to become current according to the visa bulletin. And that's usually why you can't file for your green card right away, because that priority date is not current for the most part. How fast are VAWA cases moving? From Christy Boobabe. Christy, VAWA cases are taking about, I would say, about 3.5 to 4 years for the I-360 to be processed. Okay. Are they calling for interviews for I-751 recently on a regular basis from TikTok user? Yes, they are. If you have filed an I-751 application, we are regularly seeing interviews get called, especially if you are no longer with your spouse. Now, I don't believe we've gotten any I-751 interview requests for couples that are still together. But if you're divorced, if you're no longer with your spouse, if you're filing for a waiver for a divorce, or if you're filing for a divorce for a waiver underneath extreme cruelty or battery, you are most likely going to get called up for an interview. And why? Because there's kind of a presumption of fraud. There's basically a presumption of fraud that if you are filing for an I-751, but you're no longer with your spouse, then perhaps your marriage is not real, which is usually why they scrutinize the case so heavily. So if you are in that position where you have filed an I-751, you're not with your spouse, you really, I really recommend that you work with an attorney, because the I-751 stage of your immigration journey is very, very critical. It is critical precisely for the fact that if you get denied for your I-751, it is a straight ticket into removal proceedings, because they will right away issue you a notice to appear in court if your I-751 gets denied, which is why, even if you're still with your spouse, you should work with an attorney to make sure your case is properly packaged, that you have enough evidence to convince the officer, and a well-experienced attorney like us here at the law firm Moumita Rahman, we are very well aware of what they're looking for. And to top that off, if you're no longer with your spouse, if you're divorced, separated, your spouse is hurting you, they're refusing to file your I-751 application, they're refusing to go to the interview, they're refusing to give you evidence, this is even more reason why you should work with an attorney for your I-751, because this is even more critical than you getting the green card, because at this point, if you never got the green card in the first place, maybe you'd be all right, I guess. However, if this gets denied, then you will receive a notice to appear in court, which is still not impossible if you get that notice to appear in court. I don't want you guys to give up. Okay, so let's talk about this in a second. But if you get a notice to appear in court, and you have a denied I-751, you can still try to protect yourself in court. You can still ask the judge to decide it, or you can file a new I-751 outside of court, especially if it comes to light that you're eligible for a waiver, okay? So don't give up hope. Really, you just need to have the right strategy. You just have to have the right attorneys who know what they're doing. And if you need help on your I-751 case, give us a call, 212-248-7907, okay? All right. And I just want to make a quick little announcement. That I know that there's a lot of people out here who have been wanting to meet with me. We have not been able to offer in-person appointments, but just watch out for the surprise tomorrow, because we're going to make a big announcement tomorrow. And who knows, you might get the chance to meet me in person next week. Okay. 212-248-7907. So make sure you put your notifications on. Make sure you're looking at my stories on Instagram and on TikTok. And you never know what's going to happen. Okay. All right. How does it work if we are in a different state? From Laura. Laura, thank you for the question. Okay, so this is a very good question. So we are based in New York City, and we work with clients all over US. We work with clients in almost every single state, and we travel for our cases. And how is it possible for us to work with clients who are not in New York State? That is because, number one, immigration is a federal law. Immigration is federal, which means that we are allowed to practice immigration cases all over the United States, all over the world, in fact. So there's no limit as long as we are properly licensed. And next, we work with our clients virtually. We have a secure client portal where we send secure messages and documentation. We work virtually on the telephone or on Zoom. We mail things to you, you mail things to us. But in reality, we try to make everything as pain-free and hassle-free for our clients as possible. And believe me, our clients that work with us, everything is done so seamlessly as much as possible for them. And you don't want to be sitting around for hours and hours in an attorney's office waiting to be seen, okay? We want to eliminate that and give you back your hours. You have a busy life, you have a busy schedule, you've got kids to take care of, you've got work to do, and we want to make it convenient for you. So on top of that, yes, we work virtually. We use a lot of Zoom. We use a lot of phone calls. We conduct all of our interviews either through Zoom or on phone. We have a secure client portal through which we send documentation and through which clients give us documentation back, okay? So it's never really been a barrier for us. There's never been a situation that I've had that I've not been able to properly win a case for somebody just because I have not seen them in person or just because they're not in New York State. And also, we travel for a lot of our cases. So if our clients get interviews in a different state, as long as we're available, we do travel for those, okay? So if that's what's holding you back, Laura, don't let that hold you back. You should definitely go with your gut and work with the attorneys that you feel the most comfortable with. And believe me, distance. If that's the most important thing to you, then that's, of course, you should do what works best. But distance has not been a problem for the thousands of clients that we have represented. Okay. Oh my God. I did not mean to press that. I don't know who this person is. How do I get myself off of this? Oh, well, okay. Since you're here, tell me. Do you have a question?
Yes. I think we already talked to this question about that before in the text message. I don't know if it's you, it's text me or another person. So last time on TikTok, I saw one of your page, and the person talking to me tell me you have only one page, and requested me a lot of information about I already give to your staff, and they tell me I need to have your WhatsApp number.
Oh my God. Okay, no. So I will answer you right now, Chevalier. I'll answer you right now. So I have a live person who's on my TikTok feed right now, and I actually want everybody to know about this. I do not use WhatsApp. I will never ask you any questions on WhatsApp. And I will never ask you for money through WhatsApp or Telegram or any place. The only way that we do payments is through our secure client portal on my case. So there are a lot of imposters out there, Chevalier, and most likely what happened is because you're following me, somebody contacted you because they saw that you followed me and they're pretending to be me. That person is not me. So if any of you have been contacted by someone who says they're me or somebody who's from my office on WhatsApp or Telegram, it is not us, guys. It is not us. Please don't lose your money. Don't lose your time. The only way to contact us is through the phone number of 212-248-7907.
Thank you, and I appreciate your service and the staff service too, and I appreciate that the way you working and the way you keep your clients updated with the information on immigration. So
thank you so much. Appreciate it.
That. It's my chance to come in.
Sorry, I don't know what I pressed, and I've never added something to my life, so I didn't know what I did. But thank you so much for joining.
I would appreciate it. I'm just waiting for when they're gonna be giving next update. So
yes,
I'm new. I'm just waiting for because I know you.
Yeah, and you're a current client, right?
Yes, I'm
yes.
I'm
okay.
Like 8 months.
Okay. Well, don't say your name. Don't say your name out here. We don't want you to identify yourself. But do me a favor, if you do have any questions, just of course you know how to reach us. But yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, thank you for. I know you notified us before about these imposters, and I want everybody. Look, I want everybody to understand this. Nothing hurts more than when you get taken advantage of, right? We trust your instincts. If you don't think, and I've seen some of these text messages that people who are imposters send. They speak in the rudest way. They speak in they speak very, very just horribly to people and just ask for money, right? That's not us. We are a very professional law firm. We pride ourselves on the type of service that we give to clients. And again, we do things by the book. So if somebody's, if it doesn't seem like a lawyer should ask you for money on WhatsApp, it's probably true because they shouldn't, and we don't. So for anybody else out there who's been contacted on Telegram or on Instagram, I'm not sending messages to people on TikTok. So if you get a message from somebody on TikTok, that's not me. I do not do messages on TikTok. We have only one Instagram account, and you can message us there, and that's about it. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Okay. All right, let's see what other questions I have. All right. I have a question from Vawa through a failed marriage. Does that have an interview from Wahrani Youssef? Okay. Wahrani, will you get an interview on your VAWA case? And the answer is possibly, because there was a period of time back in December where USCIS did conduct some interviews on VAWA cases, but they don't really do that on I-360s anymore. However, you will probably have an interview for your I-485 portion of your case, okay? So if you have filed for VAWA, your VAWA got approved, and now you're waiting on the decision on your I-485, most likely you're going to have an interview for that part. Okay, QZ Construction, thank you for the rose. I got my asylum approved in March. When should I apply for a green card? From Ismail. Ismail, if you got approved for your asylum, you have to wait 1 year before you can submit your green card application, okay? Stray Girl, what should I say in the interview if my boyfriend in the state wants to take care of my expenses starting from hotel and round trips? What should I avoid or take into consideration? From Stray Girl. Stray Girl, do you have, I don't know what kind of interview you have. If it's a boyfriend, I'm assuming that maybe this is a visit visa or a fiance visa. I don't really know, but what I can say is that usually when you are, okay, so Stray Girl, you're in Morocco and you've got a boyfriend in the States, and he will take care of my plane tickets and hotel. Will my visa be surely approved? What should it be avoid? Okay, so this is really, really tricky. So if you are coming here on a non-immigrant visa and you're coming here to see somebody, I just want to let you know that, you might think it's a good thing to show to the consulate that someone's paying for your tickets, that they're taking care of all of your expenses. But in reality, these are going to be big red flags for the consular officer, and it might even be more of a reason for them to deny your application. That being said, you should always tell the truth on these interviews, because if you don't tell the truth, then you might get hit with something called a misrepresentation and fraud, which you're not going to be able to fix for a long time, if ever sometimes. So Stray Girl, I can't really give you much advice. I think you should probably work with an attorney for your visa application, because it seems like it's very simple, but it can be very complicated depending on what's happening. Okay, so I hope that helps, Stray Girl. If you're married to an American citizen for 13 years, how long does it take for the paperwork to get done? From Maribel. Maribel, thank you so much for your question. So the amount of time that it takes anyone to get a green card in their case is going to depend on a few different things. So even if you are married to a US citizen, how long it takes for you to get your green card is 100% always going to depend on a couple of things. Number one, what is your manner of entry into the United States? A lot of people, for example, will come in with a visa. And if you are married to a citizen and you came into the US with some sort of visa, even if it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, for the most part, your immigration case through your spouse might take about a year, right? But if you have the wrong type of visa, or you did not come in with a visa at all, meaning you came in through the border, you came in unlawfully, then even if you're married to a US citizen, you may not be able to fix your status for years. And that is because immigration will heavily punish people who do not have a legal entry, and they place certain restrictions on other visa types. So what is the solution for that? Well, if you don't have a visa entry, or you have the wrong type of visa, then we need to look for other ways rather than just the straightforward one-step marriage green card case. In our office, we like to see if you qualify for several different types of humanitarian cases. The most common that we do is going to be something called a VAWA self-petition. And that is going to be for those of you who maybe you have a legal entry or you have an illegal entry, but the bottom line is that your spouse might be not treating you well. Your spouse might be hurting you emotionally. They might be calling you names. They might be controlling, jealous, toxic, calls you all the time when you're at work, demands to see your receipts, to see your phone, to see your messages. And they're just toxic. They're narcissists. They're bad. They don't make you feel good. They put you down all the time. And if your spouse is a US citizen or a green card holder who treats you this way, then it would still take a little bit of time, but you would not need to leave the US to do your green card application, because you would be eligible to do a VAWA self-petition here in the US. And especially for those of you who do not have the legal entry to leave, if you don't have a legal entry, then the VAWA self-petition is a great way for you to securely fix your status without having to leave. Number two, if you don't have that available to you, then we can look at something called a T visa. And the T visa is going to be an application where we base it upon any time you have had a situation of human trafficking in your life. So what is human trafficking? It is essentially when somebody gets you to work or provide a service under some sort of threat, under some sort of fear. So you're not actually giving your labor in a free way, okay? And if those don't work, then we could always do something called a waiver, where you need to leave the US and come back, okay? All of these will take several years to complete. So unless you have the right type of visa entry into the United States and you're married to a United States citizen, you can expect that your case will take several years. But the bottom line is that it may always be a way, okay? El Profeta Music, hola, amigo, ¿cómo está? So just give us a call, okay? 212-248-7907. Hello, my friend, how are you? Okay, it's been 4 months and I still haven't received my work permit yet. That's okay. Work permits can take anywhere from 6 months to 10 months to process, okay? Is it a good time to apply for VAWA? From Sumit? Sumit, absolutely. If you have a legitimate real marriage and you suffered in your marriage and you have no other options, now is the time to apply for whatever you can, guys. We get a lot of calls in our office from people who are afraid to file things. But I just want to ask you, what is your alternative? What is your alternative? If you're afraid of filing a case because you're afraid of getting denied and being placed in removal proceedings, well, what is your alternative? What's going to happen if you get stopped in a traffic stop, or ICE comes to your door? It is much better to have something in process that you can fall back upon as some sort of protection, rather than have nothing at all. And the truth is that if you're an undocumented immigrant these days, sitting, unless you're going to hide in your basement, you have to go out for work. You got to take your kids to school. You got to go, you got to get groceries and everything. The mere fact of existence is going to be a stress and an uncertainty. So why not make things a little bit more certain in the sense that you're doing something that you might be eligible for so that you can secure your future here and not give up on the 10, 20 years that you have worked so hard for, okay? All right, 212-248-7907. Do we have any changes in VAWA or TVs of the current administration from Harry? Harry, I do think that the government is working very hard on the VAWA cases right now. So we're getting a lot of activity on our VAWA cases, Harry. But on our T visa cases, we're not seeing any movement at all. So I do think that the T visas, my theory is that, the number of officers that decide VAWA cases and T visa cases, I think it's like 24 officers. It's not a lot of officers. So, this is highly specialized technical knowledge that your average immigration officer just does not know about. So for these cases, my theory is that, the reason why the T visa cases have slowed down in processing is because they have diverted the resources of officers to the VAWA cases, which is why we're getting tons of RFEs, tons of approvals, tons of interviews in our VAWA cases, okay? So Harry, that's the biggest trend. I just think that the T visa cases have slowed down a little bit. Oh my gosh, Fernando. Thank you so much. This is one of the best. They helped me with T visa, 0 mistakes, and they took time to send it to USCIS, but good times are perfect, and I also have patience. Fernando, thank you so much. I do know that one of our pain points is my pain point too. It's our firm's pain point. I know my clients are not happy about it. Sometimes we take a little extra time to work on our cases, but that is because I want things to be perfect. I want things to be strong for our clients. If I didn't care, then we would just take people's money and just do sloppy work and send it through and say, hey, we did a good job. But my goal is to not do that. My goal is to actually get clients approved because there's no other, I take pride in my work, okay? Fernando, thank you so much for that beautiful comments. Daniel Abreja, my son and I have a different last name. I would like to apply for I-130. Is it possible? From Danielle. Daniel, so it may be possible if you want to file an I-130 for your child or your child wants to apply for you and sponsor you, then number one, you have to show that you have the proper family relationship. So you can have a child through birth. It could be a biological son or a child. It could be a child through adoption. It could be a child who's a stepchild. You just have to satisfy those requirements. And if it's your biological child, then your last names don't have to be different, but you need to be on the birth certificate and you might need to do a DNA test to prove that lineage, okay? But I don't see why it wouldn't be possible, Daniel. I hope that helps. Mariam is saying, I applied for VAWA in June, no receipt yet. Do I need to be worried? Mariam, thank you for the question. And the answer is that USCIS is taking 4 to 5 months to give receipts on VAWA cases, T visa cases, sometimes in marriage cases. We don't, citizenship cases and regular green card cases are a little bit different, but the VAWA and the T visa case are taking 4 to 5 months to get receipts. So if you filed your case in June, it's now October. It's coming up on that timeline, but hopefully you just send to your case with tracking, and you just have to have a little bit more patience, I would say. Do you work with EB1 cases? I do not. How long are petitions for 21 year to parents taking from ANE? Thank you for the follow, stylish Portia. Okay, so if you are a 21-year-old child who wants to sponsor their parent, how long will your case? And the answer is that it depends on a couple of factors. Number one, if you're 21 and you're a US citizen, how did your mom or dad enter the United States? Because the first thing that we have to look at is to see what their manner of entry is. Now, if they have a legal entry with a visa, they're usually fine, but we also have to make sure that they don't have like a fraud or some other problem for which they need a waiver, because then it could become impossible to do their case, okay? But let's say they don't have any problems like fraud, and your mom or dad came in with a visit visa like 20 years ago, and then you're 21 years old, you want to sponsor them, your case will likely take maybe about a year, okay? Now, what happens though if your mom or dad does not have a legal entry, or they have a fraud problem, or they have some other problem, right? Then we need to look to see what else is on the table. Now, a couple of other ways, if your mom or dad does not have a legal entry, we can look to see if they qualify for something called Section 245I adjustment of status. And this is available for people whose employers, their old bosses, or their family members filed an I-130 or a labor certification or an I-140 for them like 20 something years ago. Like we're talking about before April 30th, 2001. So and we've done this it's like finding a needle in a haystack. So we've done several cases like that where, someone's boss or family petitioned for them. And, 20 years later, now their child is an adult and now can petition for them. So even though if you don't have a legal entry, if you qualify for something called Section 245I adjustment to status, then you may be able to do a green card application here. And it would take about a year also, more or less. Now, if you don't qualify for Section 245I adjustment to status, but you, the son or daughter, you're in the military or you're a veteran, you may be able to do something called military parole in place for your pops. Okay, that can take longer though, because military parole in place has to first be processed by the local office, and that sometimes can take 1 to 2 years, and then they do their green card application after that. So it's another 1 to 2 years after that. Okay, now if your mom or dad has multiple illegal entries into the United States, and they have a problem called the permanent bar, otherwise known as la barra permanente, then that's where things get a little bit more complicated, and we have to see if they might qualify for different cases. And for me, there are 3 primary cases through which we might be able to do a waiver for your permanent bar for your mom or dad. And number 1 is going to be something that almost everybody knows about, which is the U visa. Now, this is difficult because your mom or dad needs to have been the victim of a crime for which they reported and cooperated with law enforcement on. And law enforcement needs to give a certification to basically say that, yes, they cooperated with me. So, it's possible, but it's not always easy. And it also takes about 5 to 10 years to get a green card through this process. Second is something that I talk about a lot, which is the VAWA self-petition. We just, we've been getting these green cards approved, and I'm very, very thrilled for my clients, because where maybe it's not you, maybe you have a sister or a brother who is just a problem child. They're very rebellious, they're very aggressive, they're rude, they make your mom's life, your dad's life miserable, they talk down to them. We have seen cases where kids regularly threaten deportation against their parents. We have had cases where parents are getting cursed out on the regular. We have had cases where a problem brother or sister constantly steals money from the parents. And all of these basically are signs of emotional abuse, and sometimes there's physical abuse. And if you as a parent have suffered these sorts of things from your adult son or daughter who's a U.S. citizen, then you may qualify for the VAWA self-petition. And yes, in many cases, we may be able to get the permanent bar waived, especially if there's a connection to the abuse. Okay. Now, the third way, which is something that not even a lot of lawyers know how to do, not even a lot of lawyers know what this is. And so many people have called us and told us, how come I didn't know about the T visa? Is it new? And no, the T visa is not new. It's been around for about 20 years. And the T visa is one of my favorite ways to fix people's status, because number 1, it does not require any family sponsorship. So you don't even need a son or daughter. You don't need a husband or wife. You don't need anyone to petition for you. And number 2, we can waive so many things from false claims to U.S. citizenship, to multiple entries, to permanent bar, to fraud, to other issues. So what is the T visa? The T visa is basically going to happen to you anytime you have worked or provided services to somebody not of your own free will. So let me give you a few examples, okay? If you are working as let's say you're working in a construction job, right? Now, number 1, the T visa can happen in many industries. It does not need to be in construction. You do not need to be working hard labor. You could be doing nails. Like one of my earliest cases I'm doing a T visa was for one of my clients who worked in a nail salon. Okay. But, so I'll tell you about this client. This client, she worked in a nail salon, and her employer constantly screamed at her and made her afraid, and would tell her to show up at a certain time to open the store, would not let her leave until the last customer left. And she could not leave for break. She could not leave for lunch. She would get injured on the job, and the employer would not let her leave to go to the doctor. When she was sick, she could not take a day off because the employer would start making threats about how, if you don't do this job, I know all the employers in town and you're never going to be able to find a job again. That's a threat. That kept my client to, going back every day because she was afraid of her reputation being harmed, of never being able to find a job again. And we got a T visa approved. So that's just one example. Now, I want to give you another example because my team told me today that you guys are surprised that you might be trafficked by a family member. We have had uncles and aunts bring over their nieces and nephews and basically treat them like a maid. So how many of you have come to the United States, your family member here, your uncle or your aunt or maybe your cousin told you, yeah, come, you can live in my house. I'll take care of you. I'll help you get on your feet. I'll help you go to school. I'll help you find a job. But you come here and then all of a sudden they say, okay, you need to clean the kitchen. You need to sleep on this floor over here. You need to pay me back because I paid for your ticket. I'm paying for your food. You're not paying rent. So you owe me. You need to stay here and do this. Maybe you end up having to take care of kids, right? And you can't leave the house, right? In essence, when that happens, your family member is trafficking you, right? We've had many stories of cases of family members taking your passport and then saying you need to do this, or you need to work in my restaurant, or you need to work in my store because you need to pay me back the debt that I took on to get you here, or you need to pay me back for the housing that I'm giving you. And this is trafficking, guys. And if any of these things have ever if any of these things have happened to you, then it is probably an instance of human trafficking, and you may be able to get your case, your immigration status fixed through this. Okay, so if you want to sponsor your parent, right, and you don't know where to begin, I always invite you to first give our office a call at 212-248-7907. All right, guys. I see on TikTok my live visibility has been restricted. Let me just see why. Oh, okay. I guess I'm being reported on TikTok by anti-immigration people, I guess. All right. My DACA expired yesterday. Unfortunately, I've got a domestic violence charge that is going to be dropped. Hey, Samantha, how are you? I'm told it's going to be dropped since I took DV classes. I lost my job today because of working from Cesar. Cesar, I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, give us a call, Cesar, because let's see if there's something else we can do. I'm just curious, why did you get a domestic violence charge? Is it from a wife, somebody you're married to? Is your wife a U.S. citizen? A lot of times we see that people might get charged with domestic violence accusations from an abusive spouse who's manipulative, who is trying to basically put you in harm's way. And the bad news is that it's going to affect your case because, especially if you have DACA, you're going to lose your DACA. You might not be able to renew right now. So let's see what else we can do. Okay, give us a call, 212-248-7907. Mariam is saying, I applied for a VAWA for myself and my son. He recently got a DUI ticket. Is it dangerous for his application? Is there anything you can do for him? Mariam, it can be an issue, but unfortunately, once you've already filed a case by yourself, it's not something that we assist with, but there are some other lawyers that might be able to help you, okay? At this point, it may not be a problem, but most likely your son is going to get in a request for evidence to show that he has good moral character and also to show the outcome of his arrest. John is asking, I filed for VAWA in 2024 and I've received my work authorization, but I'm still waiting to be approved. Do I need a lawyer to follow up on this for me? A lawyer can't do anything for you because the processing time is like 3.5 to 4 years. So you're still within the normal wait time right now. What are shared residency proofs? Can you list them? Will shared residency proofs is anything that shows that you have lived with your spouse in the same space. Siri is saying, I applied for my VAWA last month and today I got a notice to appear in court for the removal process. What should I do? Any suggestions from Siri Chaudhary? Siri, yes. Well, you're going to need a lawyer to represent you in court. So if you have received a notice to appear in court, you need to show up to court with or without a lawyer. So if you have not yet found a lawyer, you still need to show up, because if you don't show up in court, then you will receive an automatic order of removal called an in absentia order. So if your case got denied, and we're seeing a lot of notices to appear for people whose I-485s have been denied over the past 3 or 4 years. If you get a notice to appear in court, then you need to basically probably discuss the lawyer the best solution forward, okay? 212-248-7907. All right, guys. So that's all the time that I have for today. Thank you so much for joining. I just want to leave you guys on a positive note. Now you can receive a notice to appear. You can receive a denial. You can be told that your case is not, like maybe you're afraid to file your case. In all of these things, the end of the road is not there yet, okay? The end of the road is not there yet. A lot of people are just so afraid to even live, to step foot outside. And that's really unfortunate, but that's what they want you to feel. They want you to feel afraid. They want you to give up hope, and they want you to go back. But I don't want you to give up hope. I don't want you to just give up like that. I understand that everybody has their own considerations to keep in mind, but we are helping thousands of clients who are still here. And if I were to give you a number of, like the thousands of clients we've had, very small percentage of them have been arrested by ICE. Some people have decided to go back. It's true. A couple people have not been able to defend themselves in court and have received orders to be deported. That's a small percentage. And don't let this news of everything, this big fear that they're trying to put into your head, make you give up. Okay, that's the bottom line. Okay, my name is Moumita Rahman, and I'm an immigration attorney. And it has been my pleasure to be here with you today. Okay, take care. God bless.